Hey everyone, Richard here from Design and Built. In this episode, we get the car ready for Motorex, which is one of Australia's biggest aftermarket car shows. We fabricate a brand new exhaust, a center console, and do a heap of little jobs to get the car looking spick and span. Let's get into it. This is my whiteboard, and this has been a critical part of the build. So I've got my to-do list here. Now, I don't put everything on it. It's just the stuff that I think I'm going to forget. And then I've got my to buy and then to paint as well. So I've sort of got it split up into a few sections. I've also prioritized jobs. This is in the lead up to Motorex, so we're going to worry about Motorex first and then getting it engineered second. This episode is about all these small jobs, and we're going to go through them. Maybe not all of them on camera, but the ones I think are interesting, which is generally all the fab stuff. Not so much the fitment stuff. So let's start from the brake booster. So this is an 80 series brake booster. We've got the front and then the rear outlet on that. The plan is roughly to run it down the driver's side of the car along the firewall and then underneath and to the front. So the local brake shop made these up for me, and they're all crimped, which is for legal reasons. So these braided lines are basically to go to the calipers and then go to the diffs as well. So let's start piecing this together. I've got some hard line, I've got a bender. Never done any of it before, so I'm just going to start piecing it together and take my time. I've managed to borrow this flaring tool, so let me just show you how it works. Now, this is a bit more expensive than a conventional flaring tool, but the results are pretty much 100% perfect. You essentially get perfect flares every time, which is fantastic, and it's really sped up the process for me. So I'm not going to go into great detail on the brake lines. Basically, you can see from each of the calipers, it's braided line, which I got the brake shop to do. Then it goes into hard line, and then it goes into a flex line on top of the diff to the chassis. So I've run the lines under the car, making sure they're not in any pinch points or anything like that. Also got these spirals in between the body and the chassis, just because the body does move around a lot on the rubber mount. So the spiral prevents the line from snapping and fatiguing prematurely, and it acts like a spring. That's it on the brakes. I bled them last night with a few friends, and yeah, I think we're good. So I've still got to plumb the back, but that's brakes done. It was a whole day. It was actually a big job. I just didn't film any of it. It was just sort of head down, bum up. So I've got the guards off. I'm going to wrap to the underside, and then I'm going to take them to get wrapped on the top. I'm not wrapping the rest of the body, but the guards are a wear item for the car. Especially on the front here, you have the tendency to lean and put stuff on them. So I'm just getting the guards wrapped. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap to the bottom now. That's all the Raptor coating complete. I really went thick with the second layer. It was my first go Raptor coating, but I think it turned out all right. I don't think you can really go wrong with Raptor, like everyone says. It is actually true. So I'm sending them off to get wrapped, and then I'm going to put them on the car in a few days' time. Old glass here. Now, this stuff needs some work, so you can see here this one's quite hazy. I'm using the cerium oxide to do this, so I'm going to get cracking, and then once this is all polished up, I'm going to send it all off to the tinter. So we're actually doing this the dead of night, which is prime polishing time. Build a Barra Landcruiser, they said. It'll be fun, they said. I just finished up polishing the glass. It looks way better. Once it's properly cleaned, then yeah, you'll be able to see the full detail. But for now, this is good enough to go off to the tinters. We're about 7 days out from Motorex, and then we'll have to put it back in the car next week. I've got my center console here. I designed this up in CAD. I use this 3D scan data to match the top of my trans tunnel and under the dash as well. So I guess the idea is 2 cup holders here. So I've got these off eBay, and they're a multi-fit. Can get my 500ml cans of Monster Energy in there, as well as some stubbies, which is fantastic. Possibly in hindsight, I should have made something completely new and got rid of the original setup for this. But we're just sort of running out of time, and I guess the car looks incomplete without a bit of a center console. So I'm going to have to TIG this up. It's in 3 pieces, so I'll pull it apart just so you can see. It's got the main one there. We've got the second one and then the third one. So this is sort of just to put little bits and pieces, probably your phones and wallets when you're driving. Although there is a heap of storage for that around. So I guess one of the problems is that I've done this off scan data, which is not representative of my actual car. So I might have to cut and shut all this, but that's okay. I'll get it all done and make it work somehow. What we're looking at here is the center console in CAD. Bremer Auto was kind enough to scan a full car for us, and I went into detail a few episodes back. Here you can see the 45 cab, and I've got my trans tunnel overlaid, and then I've got my center console overlaid on that, and I did the full design in CAD using sheet metal. I then made sure it was going to work with the CNC press brake that we're using and compatible with all the tooling. Did all the drawings, exported the DXFs, and sent it off to the laser cutter. When I say the CAD wasn't accurate, I mean the CAD wasn't accurate of my car. There's a fair few things that I've put onto my car, such as the seats, the seat frames, which I haven't got in CAD, and I just haven't modeled it because I don't think modeling everything is worth my time. We're just in the middle of setting up the center console. I've cut these mounts off, and yeah, I'm trying to get a hole for the transfer case, so go ahead and cut that out, and then I'll be able to stick it all together. Not bad, not bad. Having a go. So this is 2mm alley. I'm reasonably comfortable on 3mm alley, but this is really my first go at 2mm. I did a fair bit of practice before I got into this though. But yeah, I think I've dialed in my settings, or close to it. Might be a little bit hot, but we're getting through it. So it was a pain to tack up. I didn't really get it too much on the laps because it just took ages. Something I didn't really think about when I designed this was design for manufacture. I thought it was going to be easy to TIG together, and this piece wasn't, so there are a few methods that I've used in the past that could have made it easier, but I didn't do it. I was sort of rushing through it, and that's what you get for rushing. About this time last year, I was sort of learning how to do alley. So I've come a long way since then. It's still by no means perfect, but it's okay. I guess there's a couple of inside corners there. I guess I still struggle for consistency with alley. So I definitely could have made this out of steel, but I really enjoy working with alley, and I think it's my favorite thing to do in the shed, so I choose to use aluminium. Center console, pretty much all done and dusted. So it's probably not exactly how I imagined it. I thought it was going to be a bit cleaner up here, but you can barely see it, I guess, from eye level. I've still got a handy tray here, and I've got my 2 cup holders, which are of utmost importance for my can fridge. And then I've got my transfer case lever and forward shifter there. And obviously I can put my handbrake down and my transfer case lever all the way back, and they don't clash, which was important, and it was a consideration when I was mounting my transfer case lever and handbrake. I guess I'm going to pull it apart now. So I'm going to mount it to the top of the trans tunnel. So I've got it mounted by those nutserts you saw before. So I've got 4, 2 on each side, and it's nice and solid. It really doesn't have to be that sturdy at all, but you know, you don't want it rattling loose. So there's 2 big questions. 1, do you grind back the welds and then it sort of looks like a, you know, a finished stamped part? Or do you leave the TIG exposed and sort of show everyone that it is a TIG part? So I think I'm going to leave it exposed. I actually quite like the TIG finish, and I'm going to paint over it. So you can tell it's a TIG dally part. And then I guess the second question is, do you go black or do you go sandy? So if you have a look at the rest of the cab, there's a lot of sandy, but there is a lot of black as well. So personally, I think that it's going to tie in better with the fridge if I go black. But, geez, it's I think sandy wouldn't look bad either. Okay, so we're pretty much done here. We're going to unbolt it. We're going to do some full passes on the shifter mount. And then, yeah, we're going to paint it up. Richie on some of the finishing touches. Just making the center console work.
Need these for the
Spray booth V3. So today we're painting the center console, the trans tunnel lid, the winch, and a bunch of other little parts. I just don't like the grey. These are the indicators, and that's the shifter cover. It's not that I don't like grey as the colour, I just don't like it when it's contrasting against the sandy taupe and the black. So I'm basically just painting everything either black or sandy, and I don't think there's going to be other colours on the car. Obviously not the ideal setup, but it is quite a still day, so it should turn out pretty good. Everything all painted up now. I'm just going to wait a couple of days for it to dry and then bolt it onto the car. So the painting for the center console's come out pretty well. Happy with it. As you can see with the shifter, the outside is black, which I think looks pretty good. And then I've got a bit of stainless, which will match the nameplate. Maybe I should have painted them sandy taupe in hindsight, but I think it'll look pretty good. When I was doing my trans tunnel, a few people asked in the comments about some sort of gasket. And I actually got this water jet, so this is just 3mm insertion rubber. It should seal the trans tunnel lid to the cab, so there shouldn't be any water ingress, which is exactly what we're after. So yeah, just sent off a DXF and got it water jet. We're 4 days out from Motorex at this point, and there's still a lot of work to do. The car is in a lot of pieces. It's more or less just assembly, but there's a bit of fab stuff to do. I've got to redo an exhaust because it is clashing with the front tail shaft. When I went to patrol diffs, the pumpkin moved 50mm to the driver's side, which has caused the drive shaft to in fact clash, which isn't ideal. So I'm redoing it out of oval, and I guess since I did the exhaust the first time, I've learned about oval. So this oval profile is going to sit vertically like that and give me way more clearance on the tail shaft. So I've got to go ahead and make that. And then really the rest of it's just bolting it up. Exhaust is all tacked up now, and I'm going to do some full passes and we'll get it on the time lapse. I guess the big difference between last time I did the exhaust and this time is that I've got a proper welding table, and I've also got a pipe vise here, so the hard to sort of get to spots are going to be a lot easier. So one of the things I struggled with last time was sort of rotating the pipes around, but this table, this is something I designed and built, and it's really helping me out throughout the build, and I should have done it earlier. This is the first thing I should have done before I started building the car. So anyone that's out there, make sure you get a good welding setup, and it really helps. You can see here, this is the clamp design for the table. So it just bolts to the bottom of the table, and you can put it in any one of these holes, and it's just really good. It makes the actual workpiece solid, so you can see here it's not going anywhere, and that's only one little clamp. So it just makes it really easy to weld. So I'm going to go ahead and do some full passes, then I can put it back on the car. The exhaust is all tigged up and it's time to put it back on the car. So here's my brand new oval exhaust, and I just want to show you the front section to show you what I'm dealing with. There's probably about 25mm in between the exhaust and the heat shielding. And then I've got another 25mm to 30mm to the shaft. So it is really tight. It was really tight before, even with the Toyota diffs, but the Nissan diffs have made my problem worse because the pumpkin is 50mm that way. So this is Car Builder's thermal insulation. It's basically a stick-on foil with a fiberglass backing, so it really does reduce the temperatures. And there is a nice air gap in there. Air is the best insulator. So if it was touching, then we'd really have problems with conduction. But the air ensures that we can get some heat reduction. So I think we're going to be okay. I know the exhaust temperatures do get hot, but we're just going to monitor it. We really don't have much other choice. I think this is probably one of the trickiest things of an i6 conversion with the exhaust on the right-hand side is sort of getting it all to work with the shafts, and I'm definitely not the only one with this problem. So I've tried my best and we're just going to monitor it. Possibly what I might do is exhaust wrap this just to make it even better. So the oval's the same cross-sectional area as a 3-inch round tube, so it shouldn't have any problems with flowing. So looking at the back section now, and I've got my cat, and then it goes up under the car. Kind of hard to see. I wish I had a hoist to show you properly, but this is a garage build. Got my muffler on the way up. You can see here I've heat protected my fuel tank. There is probably about a 50mm gap. I've heat protected my shock hose there as well. Under here, the exhaust isn't close to anything at all. It's got a really nice air gap all the way around it. And you can see here I've got a laser cut bracket with my initials on it and some trick little triangles out of the side. There you have it. You can sort of see there's a fair bit of clearance above, below, and on either side of the exhaust at the rear. So I'm not too worried about thermal insulation back here. So I've got all my windows back. They're polished, they're tinted, and they're ready to go on the car. So we're going to do that now, and that's very exciting. The car's really going to start looking like a car. Putting the glass in, back and front are in, and we're just putting the rear corners in using the little rope trick. One of the little finer details, nameplate. So in the light, it might be hard to tell, but I got this laser etched and it didn't come out super well. So I changed the design a little bit and I got it cut through, and this background is going to be black, so it's going to pop really nicely. So we're going to go ahead and install it now on the glove box. Nameplate installed. These are some of the details that I'm trying to do. So I hate the hex head look. You can see a button head looks much better, so I'm swapping them all out. And I've had to go to the bolt shop and get a whole bunch of stainless bolts. It's currently the night before I have to drop off the car at Motorex, and there are still a few things to do. Most of the glass is in, but I haven't managed to get the door glass in. I've put some badges on, so gone the OG, managed to keep those holes. And I've got the Barra 4.0 there, just to signify the powertrain. We're gonna get cracking and finish it off. We're gonna swap out all the bolts tonight, hopefully, if it all goes to plan. Huge team of people helping me out tonight, and we got everything done. So you can see the engine bay here, it's all nice and clean and shiny. I guess there's not much change since last time. Now you can see at the front there, I blasted the winch black, really controversial. Everything on my build is either sandy or black, and I really like that contrast, so that's why I've done the black. Indicators, we've gone black, as you can see. So you can see here, I've swapped out all the rusty bolts, the stainless ones, on all the hinges, and pretty much everywhere else on the car, so we've got brand new bolts everywhere. These guards are wrapped in a clear wrap and you can barely tell. So I had my mate Brokey wiring some stuff for me, and he's wired up the tray lights. He's done a really good job of that. And then we've also got the number plate lights, so they're now on, and we're waiting for a plate. We've got to get this through engineering, but I'm not rushing. There's a few jobs I've got to do to get it through engineering, and it's going to take another few months, I think. Let's have a look at the inside now. So I don't think I've shown you this, but this is my center console, and it's all painted up. Tied the car off really nicely. Let me show you another feature. So I was talking about the strip lighting in a previous episode, and Brokey came and wired it for me. We used the original switch. So how cool is that? I think it looks really good, especially with the silver car builders at the moment, but I probably will do some sort of headliner in the future. What's really cool about it is now you can actually see, and maybe not on the camera, but you can actually see this roof console and what you've got in there. So possibly in the future, I might even put some more lights in there just so you can see, you know, your wallets and keys and that sort of stuff. Yeah, I got some seat covers. So I'm a big fan of seat covers as opposed to upholstering seats, and that's because this is going to get used as a four-wheel drive. So you can see here, these are just neoprene covers. Now, I'm a big fan of the neoprene. The industry seems to try and sell you on the canvas, but personally, I like neoprene because it seems to absorb sweat a lot better. It also is easy to wash. You can just chuck these in the washing machine, and it's a lot cheaper as well. So I'm not sold on the whole canvas thing, and I run seat covers as opposed to upholstering seats because I can just throw them in the wash when they get muddy. Another detail for you, Raceworks gave me this steering wheel, so I got a Boss kit, and then it bolts straight onto the FJ steering column. So I'm really happy with this wheel. It's slightly smaller than the one I had before, so there's more of a gap between my knees and the wheel. So the trade-off for going a smaller wheel means that there is an inherently smaller moment applied from the hand, which means it's harder to turn the wheel. But it also means that I can spin the wheel quicker and not have to worry about getting my arms caught up in my legs as much. So finally we have windows that go up and down. These are pretty cool as well, these side windows. I've never had them in before, but they obviously open and close as well. The seals, not the easiest thing to put in, but they're in. So I guess that's you know, the majority of it. So I've obviously done all these trim parts in black as well. I don't know if I've shown you that before, but painted them months ago. So my AC is all plumbed up, so my vents here are working. I won't be able to, unfortunately, put any more there, but that's okay. And I've also got my demisters working as well. So everything in the cabin's pretty much now functional, which is fantastic news. I've put a rubber pad on top of the dash, and that's just so I don't scratch everything on here. And it's also so once you put something on there, it's not going to slide around as you go around corners. We made it to Motorex. It's been a journey the last few months, but we're down here at the Raceworks stand. We've got all these shiny cars, and yeah, really stoked to be a part of it. So huge shout out to Raceworks. They've helped me so much throughout the build with a lot of their products on the car. I can't wait to show you the fuel system. There's just so much dash plumbing, but yeah, they've been a huge support to me. And yeah, stoked to have this opportunity with them. Hi, I'm Richard from Design and Built YouTube. This is my Barra Landcruiser, so it's a 40 series cab on an 80 series chassis with GU diffs under it. We're at Maguire's Motorex at the Raceworks stand, and we've been here for the last 2 days. It's been a fantastic event. It's the first time I've been to an event like this, and it's just huge. There's a crazy amount of cars, and it was really cool to see some drifting and some burnouts as well. And the level of craftsmanship on some of the superstar cars are awesome, and the Raceworks cars, there's some amazing cars back here, and it was really cool to see them all as well. So I guess for my build, we're not quite finished. We're about 95%. It still needs to get registered and put on the roads. I still need some little things like sun visors and mirrors and just little finishing touches. So the plan for the car is to really drive it around Australia. I want to go to Cape York, and I really want to do some of the harder stuff as well. So once I get it reliable, once I get it tuned, then we'll start taking it on the tracks, and I'm looking really forward to it. That's all for this episode, guys. In the next few episodes, we're going to be looking at the fuel system and getting the car on the dyno. So we've got that to look forward to. If you enjoy this content and want to see more of the build, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Cheers.